Okay guys, today we're going to take some notes over levels of organization and characteristics of life. You need to make sure you set up your notes in a Cornell style, you get your essential question written down, and be sure you pay attention to this video because I will ask you to do some things for your grade that I only say but I don't write on the screen. Okay, so pay attention, raise your hand when you're asked to in the video. Okay, so we talked about this on Friday. Biology is the study of life. Remember, bio on the side of our word wall means life. And logos comes from study of. This isn't something you need to write down, but I just wanted to remind you, we're starting about biology, the study of life, and we're going to answer the question, what exactly makes something alive today? Okay, all life has 7 characteristics. Right? And the first characteristic 1, is that it is made of 1 or more cells. Okay? So a cell is the definition of the smallest unit of life. Unicellular, this uni prefix means 1, and multi means many. Okay? So organisms can be unicellular, like bacteria, or multicellular, like people. Okay? In multicellular organisms, there are cells that carry out different jobs. Okay, the second characteristic of life is that life displays organization. All life has a rational structure to it. You can look and there are parts and subparts and they're all behaving with certain rules. Okay, so the levels of organization that we did in the beginning activity, and you should know this order from smallest to largest, are atom, molecule, organelle, cell, and cell's really important because that's where life starts, tissue, okay, which tissues are a collection of cells working together. Organs are a collection of tissues working together. An organ system is a collection of organs working together. And an organism is a collection of organ systems working together. Life begins at cell. Now, the levels of organization go past this, and we'll talk about that second semester. So you can see a small example of how this works in the body. One single muscle cell combines to make smooth muscle tissue. So lots of muscle cells get together to make tissue. That muscle tissue gets together to make the stomach. The stomach works together with other organs to make the digestive system. And then the digestive system has to work with other systems in your body to make you a whole living person. Okay? So again, levels of organization is really important. On your test tomorrow, you're going to find questions about characteristics of life and levels of organization. The third characteristic of life is growth and development. So growth is getting bigger, and development is getting more complex. Through your life, you both grow, you get larger, and you get more complex. You can do things now, like read and write, that you couldn't do as a baby, and those are much more complex behaviors you developed, okay? And you also got bigger. You are larger now than you were as a baby. Okay. All living things have the ability to reproduce. They can do reproduction. Okay? And that's not essential for the survival of the single organism, but it is essential for the survival of a whole species. Organisms can reproduce sexually, so there are 2 parents that make a baby, oh so cute, or asexually. A meaning without, so without a partner, where here you see one organism just splitting into 2. All right, and living things respond to stimuli. Okay, a stimulus is anything an organism responds to. So in this picture, the baby is responding to the stimulus of the scary orc. Okay, and his response is to scream. Make sure in your notes you copy down the stimulus and response for the other picture. Once you do that, raise your hand So we know you have the stimulus and response written down. Okay, all living things have to use energy. They can use energy by eating something else, their food, maybe not this big, but eating something else, or making their food like plants. But they have to use the energy no matter how they get it. Okay, and all living things maintain homeostasis. Regulation is a key term for homeostasis, and you're regulating your So the example in this picture is temperature. Okay? When you get too hot, you shiver, when you get too hot, you sweat, and when you get too cold, you shiver to kind of keep you at that normal balance in the middle. Okay, so I want you to think back to those 7 characteristics of life, and we're going to look at, is fire alive? So this is another thing you need to make sure we check, all right? So you need to tell me for each characteristic, is fire alive? Is fire made of 1 or more cells? Does fire display organization? Can fire grow and develop? Can fire reproduce? Does fire respond to stimuli? Does it use energy? Does it maintain homeostasis? I'll tell you, it does have some organization. It can reproduce, right? You can make more fire. It does use energy. It does respond to stimuli, like if there's wind and stuff, but it doesn't really develop. It can grow, but it doesn't develop. It is not made of cells, and it does not maintain homeostasis. So because fire is missing some of the characteristics of life, it is not alive. So your answer should be no for the reasons we just talked about. So again, important to know, you have to have all the characteristics of life to be considered living. A lightning bug is alive. Fire, not alive. Okay? And we call something that has all the characteristics of life an organism. And remember back to the first slide, they can be unicellular or multicellular. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is choose one of the 3 pictures below and tell me if this thing is considered living, why or why not. Again, make sure you raise your hand and have me check your answer before you move on. And then the last thing you need to do in the summary section of your notes is go back and answer the essential question in 2 sentences. Okay? When you're done with all of this, again, raise your hand and make sure I check it.